Polygenic inheritance or quantitative inheritance, this is going to be when you have many genes controlling a single phenotype. So this will be a little different from when we were just looking at the typical monohybrid crosses or dihybrid crosses, because in those cases you had basically one gene and it controlled maybe the shape of the leaf, or one gene and it controlled whether or not someone had dimples, or whether or not someone had cystic fibrosis. In this case, we're looking at things that tend to have many phenotypes, and those phenotypes exist over a continuous range. If we look at the two examples down here, the hairline that we're seeing here is what we would call a monogenic trait. And monogenic means that there is one gene that is controlling it. And because you only have one gene controlling it, notice that we have very specific phenotypes. Either you have a flat or straight hairline, or you have a widow's peak on the hairline, but there's no other version. Skin pigmentation, the coloring of our skin, this is an example of a quantitative trait or polygenic inheritance. So this is controlled by many genes. And if you look here, notice that there's not just one color for skin pigment. It's not just white or black, it's really varying shades of brown that we can have. And so any possible skin coloring is really out there. And when you do take a sample of a population for something that is a quantitative trait or polygenic inheritance, you're going to get kind of a bell-shaped curve like we see right here. So skin pigmentation is certainly an example of polygenic inheritance. And I would say that any of these phenotypes where we seem to get kind of a blending, they're going to be characteristic of this. So examples of that, think about something like height. If we think of human height, if you have a very tall parent and then you have a very short parent, we tend to get children that are medium. So that's very typical, just like we have with skin color. If you have a very dark parent and a very light parent, we tend to have a child that is an intermediate between the two. If we were to take a sample of the population and we just were to look at the height of all the different individuals, we would probably find that there's a few that are really short, there's a few that are really tall, but most individuals are going to be more of a medium. So that's what we mean by polygenic inheritance. There's lots of genes involved. The offspring tend to be a blending of the parent phenotypes. And really, this is not something that we tend to work out Punnett squares looking at, because there's just so many genes involved and the inheritance of it is going to be much more complex.